Hey friends. So I have a wonderful discussion that I want to have with you all today. Hey, so your church found the perfect pastor, the perfect minister, worship leader, or religious worker overseas, but now you're hearing that R-1 visas are getting harder, that site visits are increasing, and cases are being delayed or denied. So the question becomes, can your church actually sponsor an R-1 visa successfully? And what mistakes could completely destroy the case before it even gets approved? And in today's discussion, I'm going to be breaking down the R-1 religious worker visa process, who qualifies, what churches need to prove, and the biggest mistakes I see. Our religious organizations can protect themselves during this immigration process, okay? So, if you are a church, a ministry, a mosque, a temple, a nonprofit religious organization, or you're a religious worker just looking for sponsorship, I want you to stay until the end of this discussion because I'm also going to explain why strategy matters more than ever in today's immigration climate. So, let's start with what is an R-1 visa. The R-1 visa is a non-immigrant visa specifically designed for religious workers. And this allows qualified religious organizations in the United States to sponsor certain foreign nationals to come temporarily to work in a religious capacity. Now, many people assume that this only applies to pastors or to priests, and that is not true. The R-1 can apply to ministers, to pastors, priests, imams, worship leaders, missionaries, religious instructors, monks, nuns, religious counselors, and other religious workers performing a religious vocation or occupation. But not every church worker does qualify, so you have to keep that in mind. And that's where many organizations do make mistakes. So now let's talk about who can sponsor an R-1 visa. So to sponsor an R-1 visa, the organization must generally be a bona fide nonprofit religious organization in the United States. You have to be tax exempt, usually recognized under the IRS's 501(c)(3), and you have to be connected to a recognized religious denomination. USCIS wants evidence that the organization is legitimate, active, truly operating as a religious institution. And that means that they may review your IRS determination letters, organizational documents, your church bylaws, payroll records, photos of the religious facility, your financial records, evidence of religious services and activities. And yes, USCIS can also conduct a site visit. And that means immigration officers may physically show up at your church or your organization and they want to verify everything that, was in the position and that it was legitimate. Okay, that does happen. So now let's move and talk about who qualifies as the religious worker. Now, the foreign national must also meet certain specific requirements. And generally, the applicant will have to show that they have membership in the same religious denomination for at least 2 years before filing. They have the intent to work in the qualifying religious position, that the work is truly religious in nature, that the organization can compensate them properly, right? And the compensation is going to be very, very important for this petition. One of the biggest reasons that R1 cases run into problems is because the organization cannot clearly prove how the worker is going to be paid. And USCIS may ask you, is there a salary? Is there going to be housing for this religious worker? Are there stipends? Is compensation documented? Does the organization actually have the ability to pay? And a weak financial presentation can create many, many major issues for this visa petition. Now, here's some of the biggest mistakes that I see religious organizations make when it comes to the R-1 visa. Mistake number one, treating the case casually. Many organizations assume that it's a church case, immigration will understand. No, USCIS, they scrutinize these petitions heavily as well. So you have to keep that in mind. Mistake number two, poor documentation, missing payroll records, weak organizational records, no clear explanation of duties, no proof of denominational membership. All these things create red flags immediately to the person reviewing your case at USCIS. Mistake number three, not preparing for site visits. If USCIS visits the organization and leadership is confused or unavailable or inconsistent, that can seriously damage the credibility of the case. So you want to make sure that the people in charge of the organization are informed about the petition and are informed about the duties of this organization. And mistake number four, using generic immigration filings. So your R1 petition should tell a story, why the worker is needed, what their religious duties are, how the organization operates, why the position qualifies under immigration law. A weak legal presentation can lead to RFEs, delays, or even denials in your case. Okay. Now, right now, immigration scrutiny is increasing across many visa categories. Religious organizations should not assume that, these particular cases are simple or exempt from scrutiny. USCIS is going to still be paying close attention to fraud concerns, compensation structure, actual religious duties, organizational legitimacy, and site visit compliance. And that means that churches, ministries need to really approach these cases strategically and professionally from the beginning. Now, why is a legal strategy important? Why does legal strategy matter? It's because this is not just about filing forms. Okay. A strong R1 case involves legal strategy, documentation strategy, organizational preparation, compliance preparation, site visit readiness, right? Long-term immigration planning. Because in some situations, right, the R1 visa may also become part of a larger immigration strategy later on. You might want to file for the green card for this religious worker, right? So these are things you want to plan ahead. So if your church, your ministry, your mosque, your temple, or your nonprofit religious organization is considering sponsoring a religious worker, or if you are a religious worker looking for sponsorship in the United States, it's important to understand the process before you file. At the Anuforo Law Firm, we help religious organizations and religious workers navigate the immigration process strategically and professionally. We represent clients across all 50 states and globally. And if you would like to schedule a legal strategy session, you can go ahead and click the link in our description to book a consultation with us. Again, if you found this video and this discussion helpful, please share it, like it, subscribe to our channels and follow us on our social medias. Share this with someone you know who might benefit from this information because it's really important that in this immigration client that people are well informed about their immigration case, their immigration matter, and just overall they're well informed about their rights as immigrants in this country. So again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to talking to you in the next discussion. Take care.